you need to know. I told you of somebody who on the 5th year of the marriage found out that her husband, who is engineer, so did not even go to secondary school. They called him engineer because he sells these plumbing tools, and so they just called him engineer. And he introduced himself as engineer. It was courtship, he just went straight and met them that, I've seen a wife, I want to marry. And they just, you just go straight to marriage counseling. I don't know how they do that. Why they will not allow these people to actually date. Let them go out, let them talk. Let them know who they are. Meet his friends. See, before you can even say, okay, let us try something. But you just say no, courtship. That means you skip dating. You skip knowing who the person is and you go straight. I told you, courtship is persuasion to marriage. It is designed for marriage. That is, you are going to the altar. And it is very wrong. And that, again, I reiterate, was why adultery was predominant in Israel, because a lot of people married whom they did not want to marry. Adultery was a major issue. That was why, you can pick chapters on adultery in the Bible. When Jesus came, it was adultery. In fact, it was more than murder. Adultery, because the right to choose was no longer with them. So dating is a more recent development which should curb the mistakes of courtship, marrying strangers. The irony of the whole equation is that you would even say, I'm doing Christian courtship, but when you want to get married, you now do traditional marriage. So what is the Christian, then what is the traditional? Because you will still have to come back to culture.
It is even the traditional marriage that is taken more seriously
than
and
whatever
probably planned for.
So my own point is this: let us stop imposing on people how they do their relationship. Encourage them to find out who the person is. Talk. Know, do they have a sense of humor? Is he hot-tempered? Is he jealous? Is he stingy? Is he malicious? Some people don't forgive easily. These are things you find out from interaction. You date, you know the kind of schools they went to. You have time to investigate. There was someone that told me he went to the University of Ibadan one time. I was like, what year? He mentioned the year, and he mentioned a course that I knew was not in the University of Ibadan. I said, what faculty is that? And from there, immediately I knew she was lying. I knew she was lying. You pick things from dating, from conversations, from going out, from meeting. You meet someone who says, I really don't have friends. You don't have anybody. I mean, even on Facebook, you see people you may know, someone that maybe you're a friend of a friend. Someone says he has nobody, that means he just, he landed on earth, and that is what you want to marry, someone without relatives, without anybody to even, you must have a shorty even to open a bank account.
Sure.
These are things that you need to teach people to watch out for and not just impose Christian dating. Please ask. I want somebody to call and tell me the chapter and the verse it is. It is not scriptural. It is not in the Bible. But you people sit down and have it as a manual. This is it. Just because you don't want to. Let me tell you something. That sin that you are saying and you don't want them to sin. There is more adultery than there is fornication. I would tell you that as a fact, because it was during the pandemic where some crazy guy had this idea and said, you know what, he will start going from hotel to hotel to see who books hotels more, singles or married people. And he came out, at least on the island, on the mainland, that more married people book hotels than single people. And you are worried about the single people. Why not turn your eyes on who are these married people carrying?
No.
So you just turn your eye and cut out one part of the statistic, and you are focusing on it because they don't want, they must be courtship. So you are already pushing them to marry each other that they don't know that once they do marriage counseling. No, that is not the issue. They must first be compatible. They must first get to know who they are. And dating is not sexual. dating is physical. They sit down, it is even external, it is outside. You encourage people to date. I always tell that date, go out on dates, neutral ground. Both of you sit down, gist, talk, see if you can even sustain a conversation. You know, if your interests are aligned, ask questions. Not that you just go and then someone comes to meet you. I heard a voice and the voice told me that you are my wife, and then you just move in. That is why, listen, Christian marriages are failing, because a lot of us are marrying absolute strangers. It is now that you are married, you now start seeing things and you are like, I didn't know this person was like this. How would you know when you never dated? So, well, as usual, a lot of people will still have this, that, but let anybody who calls, let them show me where it is in the Bible that Christians, and the one thing you ought to know is that there were people who were getting married before Christ came. So there was no such thing as Christian marriage before or even after Christ in Israel. And the Jews, they were getting married as early as Adam and Eve. And there was no such thing as Christian courtship. All this just came in the 21st Pentecostal. You just start bringing ideologies and enforcing. Listen, there's a man who wrote a book called I Kiss Dating Goodbye. His name is Joshua Harris. It was a very funny thing. He wrote a book, I Kissed Dating Goodbye, in 1997. The book focused on Christianity, why people should not, it discourages dating absolutely. But funny, by the late 2010s, he reconsidered his view that dating should be avoided, apologizing to those whose lives were negatively impacted by the book he wrote, and directed his publisher to discontinue publishing his book, divorced his wife, and then went into isolation. Why? Because he also married wrong. His name is Joshua Harris. Go and check the book, I Kiss Dating Goodbye. It is very fundamental that you date. This doctrine, ask whoever tells you it is Christian culture, where he tell them to show you where it is in the Bible. Tell them it is not even there, it is not even recommended. The Bible says in Proverbs 18:22, he that finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor. So it is your job to go and look for, date. Then when you find someone who is compatible with you, suitable to you, then you settle, but not push yourself into a courtship that you have no control over, that is subject to whether somebody likes or somebody else, people would, and that is by announcing yourself. You have not even started anything. You say, bring the person to church or bring the person to your family house. Then when, it's even funny, because if it doesn't work out, if it breaks up, the next person you meet, they'll just start counting it for you. That's how you brought Uche. That's how you brought Solomon. That's how you brought. You don't bring what is half cooked. Be sure that this is it before you take it anywhere. Let me be quiet for now. Really hope Miriam might have anything
I've got
to
so
say.
many questions.
Sorry, if we're going strictly by Bible principles, marriages and relationships were not even a religious affair. It was ruled by the family. It is not a church affair. It is not a mosque affair. It is not no religious. It is strictly family. If you are going by strict biblical principles, it is the family. When Jesus attended the marriage feast, did Jesus ask them what courtship they did? But he turned water to wine to celebrate with them. What we do is to celebrate with couples, not to be telling them this is how you do. You don't want them to do this. I told you I think I had not met Hope there. It was a year and a half ago. I put the man on this show. His marriage lasted 3 hours.
Okay.
The same day. Why? Because of course you don't get to know. It was the marriage, it was on that day that he now finally saw the person he was getting married to, saw her character. between reception and honeymoon, that was when the marriage. I brought him on the show. He spoke to us here, and he told me that he was always criticizing me because he's a minister somewhere in a very big church. He said he was always criticizing me until it happened to him. I said, no problem. He came to my office and he was almost in tears, but thank God he's stronger, he's wiser. This is the issue. Thank you very much. Where a church now insists that this, you see, I try not to mention the names of some churches, but I do mention at times. Deeper Life was another big issue where you would be in a relationship and you would not know with whom, because the person will not even come to you. They say there's a marriage committee. Now the marriage committee has been dissolved by the general overseer, I believe. I saw when he came to give his reasons and apologized to people who were wrongly affected by that marriage committee. This is a pseudo control over the choices of people. You tell me I cannot marry unless you agree, or you have to follow my procedure. You were born a human, you were not born as a church. And when you face your judgment in heaven, you will face it alone, not as a member of a church.
Right.
You are responsible for your own happiness. You are responsible for your own choices, not the idea of another person. Because every doctrine is the idea of the general overseer, whoever starts or whoever is that is the doctrine. Doctrine is not the Bible, because it is not written in the Bible that there is a marriage committee. It is not even written in the Bible that God tells you whom you are going to marry. Please, where in the Bible, just tell me the chapter and a verse where God told anybody in the Bible that this is your husband or this is your wife. All the prophecies in the Bible, over 2,000, not one single prophecy about marriage. All the dreams, all the visions. Jesus said, for this reason I came, what? To bring light, to heal, to do this, to do that. He never mentioned about giving anybody in marriage. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me because he has anointed me, what? To preach the gospel, to do what? Is there any mention of giving husbands and wives? No. And when you check Matthew chapter 22, about the 7 brothers who married one bride. One died, the other, married the wife to raise children for the older brother. That one too died, until the third brother too married, until all of them married, died, and eventually the woman died. They asked Jesus, so when we get to heaven, who will be the woman's legitimate husband? And Jesus said, in heaven, there is no marriage. Neither would anybody be given in marriage. So marriage is earthly. It is not a heavenly issue. It is not a spiritual issue. It is an earthly issue, and it is for the pleasure of man. So God, when you are saying open your eyes, God will show you. I just keep quiet, because the Bible tells you, he that finds a wife finds a good thing. It is your duty to find. And I will tell you, the lady that I just called, do you remember her name?
Joy.
Joy.
Yes.
If you find someone that gives you joy, please go ahead with the person. You are not to marry a public opinion. It is a personal decision.